All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about something essential, something every single citizen has. It's like a suit of armor. We're going to break down the powerful protections built right into Brazil's constitution, rights that act as your personal shield every single day. So let's start with a really big question about power.
I mean, think about it for a second. It's a huge question, right? In any real democracy, you've got to have a line in the sand, a limit on what the state can do. So what is that line? What actually prevents the government from overstepping its bounds and just wading into your life whenever it feels like it?
Well, the answer is this very concept we're talking about, your citizen's armor. And don't think of this as some abstract, dusty legal idea. Think of it as a real, tangible shield that protects your freedom, your dignity, and your ability to live your life safe from the incredible power of the state.
So what are these rights exactly? You know, at their very core, they're the basic rules of the game for a democratic society. They are literally written into the Constitution to make sure that every person is treated with dignity. Values like liberty and equality, they're not just nice suggestions. They are the bedrock of the law.
Okay, but here's the thing. This armor, it wasn't built in a day. It was assembled piece by piece over centuries of struggle and new ideas, creating these distinct layers of protection that we have today.
And you can see right here how our whole idea of what a right even is has changed over time. The first generation, born out of revolutions back in the 18th century, was all about liberty, basically telling the state what it can't do, freedom from interference. Then, fast forward to the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution kicks in, and that gives us the second generation, focused on equality. This was about demanding what the state must do, like providing education and healthcare. And finally, in the 20th century, we get this third generation, which is all about fraternity, or solidarity, recognizing that we all have a shared right to things like a clean environment and global peace.
Which brings us to today, and specifically to Brazil's 1988 Constitution. Because it doesn't just make a list of all these cool rights, it actually hands every citizen a practical toolkit to defend them.
And this is such a crucial point to get. There's a difference between a right and a guarantee. A right is the thing itself, the what. So, for example, you have the right to come and go as you please. But a guarantee is the tool, the how. It's the specific legal action you can take if someone, especially the government, illegally stops you from using that right. One's the promise, the other makes sure the promise is kept.
And those tools? They've got a name, constitutional remedies. They're your first line of defense, wired directly into the Constitution itself. They're accessible to any citizen to stop a rights violation right in its tracks.
And this right here, this is the toolkit. And these are powerful, specific instruments. If you or someone else is illegally arrested, boom, you use habeas corpus. If the government violates a really clear right you have, like denying you a public job you fairly won, there's the mandado de segurança. What if a right exists in the Constitution, but you can't use it because a specific law is missing? The mandado de injunção can fix that. Habeas data lets you see and correct your own info the government holds, and ação popular, that lets any citizen step up and sue to stop something that's harming the public. These aren't just for lawyers, they are designed for citizens.
But look, having a tool and knowing how to use it are two very different things, right? So how do we make sure these rights, especially the ones that require the government to actually do something, are more than just pretty words on a piece of paper?
Well, the Constitution has a really powerful answer. This one clause, Article 5, Paragraph 1, is an absolute game changer. It says that all these fundamental rights have immediate application. And the point of this is to make sure these rights don't just become a dead letter, stuck waiting for some politician to maybe pass a law someday to make them work. This clause says, nope, they're real, right now. Okay, but this is where it gets complicated. It's one thing to say the state can't illegally arrest you. That's a negative right. It's a whole other thing to say the state must build a hospital or a school. What happens when that constitutional promise slams into the hard wall of reality, like a limited budget?
This creates this constant legal and political tug-of-war. On one side, you have this principle of the existential minimum. That's the idea that there is a non-negotiable core of rights, like basic health care, food, shelter, that are absolutely essential for human dignity, and the state just has to provide them. But on the other side, the government often makes the argument of the reserve of the possible, basically saying, hey, we'd love to, but we can only do what our budget allows.
So, who wins that fight? Well, the Supreme Court has had to step in again and again to settle this, and it has consistently ruled that while, budgets are a real thing, the reserve of the possible can't be used as an excuse to deny the existential minimum. A person's core dignity has to come first, period.
So all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most empowering part of this whole thing. because beyond the courts, the Constitution gives citizens a way to take matters into their own hands and turn theory into reality.
And it's called the popular initiative. This is pretty much the ultimate tool of direct democracy. It's the constitutional right for regular citizens to organize, completely bypass the politicians, and put a draft law directly in front of Congress for a vote. Now, it's not easy, but the process is really clear. You need to gather signatures from 1% of all voters in Brazil. And those signatures can't just come from one city. They have to be spread out across at least 5 different states. And within each of those states, you need signatures from at least 0.3% of their local voters. It's a high bar for sure, but it's designed to prove that an idea has true nationwide support.
But does it actually work? Can citizens really do this? Oh yeah, absolutely. And the most famous, most powerful example is a law that literally changed the face of Brazilian politics, the Clean Slate Law.
1.6 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many signatures from ordinary citizens collected from all over the country forced Congress to consider the Clean Slate Law. This law, which stops politicians convicted of serious crimes from running for office, that didn't come from a politician. That idea was born from a massive movement of regular people.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Your rights aren't just feel-good ideas. They are real, enforceable laws that apply right now. The Constitution gives you a powerful toolkit to defend them. And on top of all that, as the Clean Slate Law proves, citizens have the collective power to go around the system and create massive change themselves. It works.
So that really just leaves us with one final question. This armor, this toolkit, it belongs to every single citizen. It's there to protect you, it's there to empower you, and it's there for you to help shape the country. The only question left is, how will you use it? Thanks for joining me.